just gonna start blowing holes in the map.
Yes, please don't. And back up, there's another forest. There's a little forest house with more supplies right beneath me here. And there's the first pre-built TNT cannon. For the most part, in most maps you'll see pre-built cannons, but you might want to build them somewhere else. And then you'll see TNT chest here. It contains 2 stacks in TNT plus other TNT cannon supplies. Then you'll have 2 more basic resources here. And then you'll reach the mountain, the slippery slope, and on this down here on the left, you'll see the lapis mine. This leads to second wool. Second wool is this portion here. This portion of the wall is 1 thick, bedrock's right here. And in this section of glass, it's 2 thick. And this section, you will basically dig your way through all the way around this crescent shape to the second wool, cyan right here. And that'll be very PvP heavy, player versus player. But there is some skeleton spawners mixed in. Also in the lapis mines, you'll see more supply chests, and you'll see a way down into this icy place with the arrow chest. This is where most of the arrows are on the map. Continuing along over the mountain, you'll see some ally chests. You could build snow golems, or there's bones in there if you wish, but it's just something extra. And then you'll reach the mountain peaks and valleys. In this area, you'll find mines, little small mines with iron ore in them. You'll find diamond ore, diamonds. The only diamonds on the whole map are right here. There's 6 diamond blocks, and there's more iron in there. This is a TNT house, Dead Man's Bunker. It contains a lot of TNT. This gold chest contains only an enchanting table. It also contains a stone pick and other extraneous things. And then at the top here is an ice castle with skeleton spawners, and if you work your way down, you'll find your way through the ladders into this room with respiration helmets and a hole that goes straight down into red wool. Respiration helmets will lead to iron buckets, but that's the red wool. If you get red, cyan, and green on the monument, which is at the beginning of the map, you will be the first, and you're the first team to do so, you will be declared the victor. So that's a general tour of the map. And the first thing you want to do on any of these maps is learn the locations of all these chests that I pointed out. You want to learn where to get arrows. You want to learn where the food is. You'll want to learn where to get armor, both leather or iron or gold, not gold, sorry, diamond. And where the TNT is, where the bows and arrows are, all sorts of things you'll want to learn about the map before you actually ever play it in a big match. Also, when you first consider a map in a lane, you'll want to learn how to quickly tech up. That is, from getting from a wooden pick to stone to iron picks. You will tech up on armor. I mentioned a wooden pick down in the mines that could help you get stone real fast if you learn to bring down wood, if you bring down more wood for a workbench and such. And there's a stone pick right by the iron blocks that could really get you teching up fast. Also, the third most important thing, third most important thing in a map to consider are possible choke points in a map. Choke points is the term used to define where to lock down teams from continuing on past the choke point. In this map, the main choke point is typically second wool, since it's very exposed. You can't hide behind this bedrock wall while you're digging down, and you're very, very free to arrow fire from the other lane. There are some hidden sections too thick layers to hide behind, but for the most part, this is one of the biggest choke points. I've also seen chaos cannons in this valley area, the peaks and valley area, to really make this part of the map very difficult for teams to progress along to get to the end, to the red wool. And also going up and down from the red wool and the water streams could be very easy to be shot down, provided that teams actually use that choke point. There are many choke points in many maps, but it's up to the teams and up to your strategy to decide which ones you want to actually focus on using, if you want to use them at all, or if you want to incorporate them into your strategies.
Yep, so the three things we really want you to take away from this about learning the map is, one, again, the special chest locations. After that, quick teching, which is how to get all the equipment you need quickly before the other team has a chance to kind of tech up. And third is choke points, where they are and how to make them. So I think we kind of went over that pretty well. One thing I do want to mention, though, is if you are practicing on a server and you're trying to look around for hidden chests, I know some map makers don't do it, but there's also some who do hide them in ground and everything like that. You can always just take a wooden axe if you've got bucket installed, and you can cut away layer by layer, remove all the dirt in the map, and you can see things hidden underneath stuff. Quick teching, one quick thing to notice on this map is, say you're going to have a choke point far at the end, if everyone wants to come down to the third wall real quick. If someone just runs down to the third wall, they're not going to have anything on them. They may want to pick up some food along the way so they can regen their health. But once you get down to the third wall, there's a chest with a pickaxe in it. You can get that pickaxe and you can get iron, you can get diamond, all that stuff. You can get the end of the map all geared up before the other team gets there quick. That's a way to kind of control a choke point, is being higher techs than your opponent. So now I think we're going to go over some team strategy, just some basics. First thing we'll start with is how you want your strategy. Do you want it detailed or broad? What I mean by detailed is, do you want to plan every single little thing, such as dropping a couple pieces of cobblestone for your teammates so they can make their own pickaxes, etc.? Or you want it to be a broad strategy, such as let's all just kind of hold down a certain point in the map and try and hold them down as long as you can while someone else takes care of the wool. There's different advantages to both of those. Typically with a detailed strategy plan, though, you need to practice a lot, and that takes a lot of time. Some people don't have it. So a broad plan might be for you if you're just doing a pickup game with people you haven't played with before. Also, something you want to take into consideration when you're planning your strategy is resource management. I think Thungon mentioned it earlier in the walkthrough of the map. There's some chests over here in the slippery slope area, and underneath in the one wide area, there's some TNT next to a bunch of ice, and there's a chest in here with just one row of arrows, 9 stacks of 64, and that's about half the arrows on the map. You're going to have to be really resourceful and kind of manage your arrows, and since this is the area where you're going to be possibly locking down the other team, you need to be conscious of that while you're trying to spam arrows on them. You may not get very many. Once you run out, you're out. So start farming skeletons, get more, and then they have a kind of free pass on the wool. Also, something you need to take into consideration about resource management is rare items. Thungon pointed out, down here in the valley, there's a chest with a golden block on top of it. Inside that is an enchantment table. It's the only one on the map, and enchanted items can give you a pretty good advantage, even with just a power 1 bow. It's advantage over a regular bow. So if you can get to that, or you can take out your opponent's chest with the abundance of TNT found in this cobble house or something, you can give yourself a significant advantage pretty quickly. So things like that, looking for rare items, not only how can you get them, but how can you take them away from your opponent.
Aaron and Thungon, you guys aren't having issues with players being able to detonate TNT, right?
I haven't seen anyone do that. I do see some people with diamond sword. And
okay,
yeah,
do you intend on using TNT in your class?
We hadn't planned on it.
Well, We'll
did?
mimic it if we have
No,
to.
no, it's fine. Just
Anyone is in
let the
here if you
players-
need me. Just say
Okay,
something.
well, we're just gonna let the players know that if we see them detonating TNT, they'll be banned instantly.
Okay.
Alright.
Yeah, as far as shooting arrows and
Yeah, you gotta
attacking mobs and
stop.
everything, kinda
We'll
keep
just
that to a
ban you
minimum.
straight away, no warnings.
So we're talking about rare items and destroying those items. You'll wanna find the chests with the rare items, things that'll give you a significant advantage, and secure them and destroy your opponents if you can. Next thing we want to talk about is performing under pressure. Things like pain loops. I don't know if you've heard live streamers talk about this in their live streams or in their other matches. They mentioned someone being in a pain loop. That's typically when a player is running and just dying over and over and over again. I don't know, Soaring Chris, you'll want to cut that out or you're going to be banned. Performing under pressure, pain loops. If you're just running to try and get your items back after you die over and over again, the other team's just pinning you down. It's a pain loop. It's something that you're not going to get out of easily, and you're just going to be wasting a lot of time. Go ahead.
And the most important thing about pain loops for strategy-wise is learning what to do after. Like, you lost your stuff, what are you gonna do? You have to kind of restart from scratch. Is where to actually go on the map after that point. Like back here at First Wool, I pointed out a mines with iron ore and coal. For the most part, mines and maps are ignored because there's iron blocks and stuff towards the end. But towards like the beginning of like Direct Fire, I know, Arcane Realms, many of the bigger name maps, they have a mine that you could use to as a contingency plan, just in case something really bad goes around with your first strategy.
Yeah, just for an example, there's been maps that I've played where we're running around with some good resources. We get knocked off the edge, we lose all those resources. There's nowhere else on the map to get them except for one of these mines where you just gotta mine individual blocks of iron and smelt them yourself. It's kind of a pain. So that's kind of recognizing what a pain loop is and contingency planning, preparing for when you're going to fail, because it's going to happen eventually. You're gonna get shot off the edge with carrying all your important stuff like that. You need to have backup plans. Let's say somebody gets to your choke point before you do, and you can't take it back. The contingency plan is, can I make some TNT cannons to take out their little stronghold they've made, or do we just abandon it and find another choke point and try and have backup plans for working around choke points? The best thing you can do is when you're making plans, go ahead and make plans for every choke point, and then see if you can work around your own plans. If you can, then either they're not very good or you're just really prepared. It's good to just try and work around your own choke points, just because other people might make them. And also, if you see something in a match, you'll want to try it and see if you can work around. Thungon, do you want to talk about detailed versus broad planning?
Yes, we discussed this a little bit, but detail versus broad planning is what two teams can really use to plan a strategy for a map. I'll go over broad first, more in detail. But basically, for a broad strategy, you'll assign certain team roles. Like one member of the team goes get resources, another member of the team runs First Wool and then helps with the resources perhaps. Another member could rush and build a TNT cannon at a certain point. Another member could just take arrows and rain down wherever the other team is focusing their efforts on. So those are like broad strategies, like what one person does for nearly the entire game, and then like somebody, like the person who ran first, he ran third. I know teams who have the same rule runner. One person runs all 3 rules for the whole team, while the other 3 members work on choking down the other team as their strategy to get through the map. And as far as detailed plans go, detailed strategies goes with what Aaron mentioned before, where like a member could take a wooden pick, and on their way they might break 3 of these. I'm towards the beginning of the map, left lane. But on their way,
Oh,
Right.
okay, who did that?
Not sure.
It was, who did that?
okay, just
Go ahead,
take
Thungon.
care of it. But like over here towards the beginning, I'll fly up above in the gold armor. But there's like these cobblestone pillars and there's these loose stone blocks above the surface. So if one team makes a wooden pickaxe and then breaks down 3 cobble to make their own stone and then makes 3 more cobble and leaves the 3 cobble on the ground, then the second team member could come pick up that cobble and make their own stone pick without worrying about a wooden pick. Then there's also strategies where you take a certain number of items out of a chest. Like I know the chest in this house in the forest has some sand and gravel, and those are useful. But the tactics will talk about that perhaps. But perhaps one team member takes half the gravel, and another team member takes half the sand, and then the other team members come along and take the ladders for their own uses, and it's all planned out what exactly they take from the chest, what exactly they do with the items, and how they help out the other members of their team without actually like meeting up and doing it as what would happen in a broad strategy, like leaving food behind for another team.
Something like, I don't know
Any
what to
winners,
do.
can you turn off mob spawns on a map for Thungon? Because somebody's spawning
Here, I
gas.
can
I'm
do
in
it.
there. The mob spawns are turned off, but you could still use eggs.
No, can you? Let me
Yeah.
try it. I'm not gonna spawn a cat.
No, it's not a flag on the region. In Multiverse, you can turn
I
mob
did
spawns
it.
off.
That's what I did.
And I've tried it on mine, and I can't do it with eggs.
I have it off. Trust. Oh no, they need mobs on. They asked specifically to have mobs on. I need
Okay,
to.
but
Oh,
so
fuck.
Well, just butcher. I'm in there. Don't worry.
I keep
Alright.
butchering too. I'm in here too.
If you see who it is, ban him, I guess.
At second here, there's 3 diamond picks. If one team member's plan is to rush that really fast, and the other team sees that and shoots them down, that detailed strategy is very set back at that point. While a broader plan will wait for the team to pass, and it's more open to re-strategize for choke points that might happen and to avoid the pain loops. It's much easier to get out of a broad strategy then.
All right, well, we've got about 5 more minutes, so if you guys want to ask any questions, go ahead and in Mumble, there's a little yellow sticky note up in the top. That's a big C on it. It says change your own comment. You can click that, you can type a comment, and our teacher's aide will let us know what exactly you guys want to say,
All
or
right,
what you want to ask. And while you're doing that,
we'll be answering questions. While you're writing down, we'll be answering them. Soaring Chris 137 asks, what happens if all your wool is destroyed? It is against the rules, Reddit rules, that you cannot destroy the wool rooms where you actually get the wools. But if you run back the wools along and drop them down at points or store them in a chest or put them on a monument, and then a later team comes and blows it up, you'll have to either redo the wools or get a safe wool back. You'll have to build a strategy to protect the wools once you actually get them.
you'll see a lot of teams, after they grab wool, they'll leave them, just place random blocks throughout the dungeon on the way out. That's a way of securing the wool, making it a little safer so that way the other team doesn't break them. Like Ben had said, it's illegal to break the chest containing wool in Reddit tournaments, so you're usually safe just leaving some in the chest. But if you're playing a pickup game, you kind of need to define that before you start. Can you blow up the other team's wool?
Just saying, if any of you were banned for a good reason. So.
Alright, what we got?
Alrighty, thank you. If you lose all your wool if you lose all green wool, then your team lost the game. That's a forfeit.
8-bit, the best way to build cannon, you'll be going over that in a later class. Too weirdy, it is allowed to destroy an enemy's victory monument. It really is only worth it if they have wool already on there, and you are confident that they don't have another replacement wool close by. If you can take out the replacement wools and things like that pretty well, you can go for it. The only thing is, they don't have to rebuild this whole monument. They just need to place the wool in the general area. Like, this one's made out of obsidian, so I mean, they just need to place the wool again. it's up to you if it's worth your time, but last ditch effort might be worth it. Any other questions that we are seeing? Someone else already asked. Are your life below Victory Monument? What's a typical breakdown for jobs? I've seen people, most teams have a PvP specialist, someone who's just focused on arrow fire, and they usually post them at choke points. Wool runners, common job. People set up team roles where one player is responsible for one wool, and they might have one of the other players as a backup just in case something happens. That's the contingency planning again. We also have utility players. They're in charge of collecting materials, getting them where they need to go. They're also in charge of things like TNT cannons and things of that sort. So those are kind of the basic, I think, KN asked that, what typical breakdown for jobs should be. That's the typical jobs I see. Is it still against the rules, place blocks on ladders if they end up on the void lane? Yes, it is, at least in Reddit tournament rules.
Another question is, what would you do with the rails in this chest before the mountain? And with all the specialty chests, with like random items, you don't really know what's going on. Rails can be used, for example, to place a minecart and do a pass around trick. If you come down the first wool.
Alright, looks like our strategy class is coming to an end pretty quick, so let's go ahead and finish this question and then we'll go ahead and start moving on.
You guys can run 5 minutes over time since we started a little bit late.
We'll take that for questions then. Just let us know when we're out.
I've seen a strategy on this map that could take a rail, put it down, brick that glowstone and put it down, and then put a minecart chest there, and then store some green wool in that chest. So another player could come down the outside of the bedrock and get it themselves as a way of securing a pass around. That's what this move is called. A pass around to secure the wool in a different way as opposed to running it out completely. You're not allowed to use a minecart to go past the bedrock walls yourself. You can't enter a minecart and then go around the corners yourself, but you could use minecarts and chests like that, or you could just break the block and put wool there if you could grab it and use minecarts for like that. Other strategies with the special chests include if one team wants to blow up one of the special chests, like blow up the one at the enchanting table, for example. That could be a strategy since teams know that that's a big part of the map, or other things like that, but I think that'll be more answered in tactics perhaps.
One area asks, is it okay to use potions? Yes, potions just fine. They'll probably talk about that in tactics as far as exact things, when to use certain things. What tips do you have regarding lighting a lane? You could take Seth Bling's approach and write a program that has a little audio message that tells you light up the lane every 5 minutes. But if you don't want to do that, just tell your teammates to remind you and remind each other to light up as you go. Most maps have some torches in the front area right as soon as you drop down. This map only has 2 stacks of 64, so you kind of have to go again with resource management. Light up as you go. If you've got someone rushing ahead and that's their job, remind them to light up on the way. They can light up most of the map on the way up. There's a lot of maps where you can't get to the end of it by the first night. So if you can't do that, then you're going to have a tough time for the second day. There's going to be mobs all over the place hiding in caves and stuff. So that's my general suggestion for lighting up the lane. Safest way to build a bridge without having it fully encased. That's something that you're kind of going to have to just work on. It takes practice. We'll have to have someone on the other lane just PvPing you with arrows, just get some practice. You can watch other matches people have played. That'll probably go under tactics though, so I'll let those guys cover it. See someone else mentioning wheat and melon farms along the way, and it's a better idea to use what's provided in the chests. If you've got chests that have things in them, then that's better. Most melon farms and stuff, those are just contingency plans. If you run out of food, those farms are provided by the map makers just for longer matches. Usually want to just take what's in chests. What if you place a water block down and the water goes outside the lane to protect ladders from TNTs? Is it considered placing blocks? Not from what I've seen. I've seen that it's okay as long as you place the block or that source block inside your lane and it flows out. I've seen it used, and it looks okay. There's nothing against it in the Reddit tournament rules. One thing that I have seen debated, though, about if it's okay or not, is having lava flow over and then putting water over it to make cobblestone lane. If it's on purpose, generally it's frowned upon, and the refs can make a determination on whether that's legal or not. I wouldn't do
And
it.
it lags people to death.
It does.
I think the determination was that it is legal, but maybe
Yes,
I'm not.
okay. Yeah, I remember hearing some debate about it, so yeah, they might have decided. Rule of thumb is, if you've got a strategy you think might be illegal, go ahead and talk with the refs beforehand, and don't talk to the other team. Obviously, you don't want to let them know, but it's easier to ask for permission rather than ask for forgiveness after you lost the match because you were disqualified. Someone else asked, what happens if all the wool is destroyed? I think we already covered this. If it's blown up by you, tough luck. If it's blown up by the other team, they lose. You can't blow up the other team's wool room unless the chest has already been broken. So if you lose your wool on your own, or you break your wool chest and then it gets destroyed, you're out of luck. That means you lose. Or you can hold them off for if you have a time limit on your match, you can try and hold the other team off till the end and hope you have more wool. But it gets really difficult at that point. So protect your wool. I'll probably be covered in tactics as well.
All right.
Yep.
Bearing no further questions, I think we'll
Call it there.
echo
X
that.
pop.
I'm not sure exactly.
It's X pop.
Okay.
X pop. You're echoing.
That's okay. There you go.
All right. Sorry about that. But if we have no more questions, I think we're gonna end this class. Thank you for listening to us talk about raceful strategy. Maybe you'll learn something or adapt something from this. I hope you do. And I hope you have fun in any future matches you will play.
One last thing, you can always watch matches that are being played. Reddit's MC Tourney subreddit, you can go there and they usually have links to matches that are happening and schedules and when things are happening. Watching other matches is a great way to learn how to do stuff besides just practicing yourself. So, alright, hope you guys got something, and I think we're done.